Hey you guys, I am really excited to introduce you to someone who is really special to me. He took me underneath his wing last year at Chelsea and has continued to be just an immense level of support for me. He's really helped to guide me, and he is my mentor. I'll let him introduce himself.
I'm Paul Hervey-Brookes, designer of the Cancer Research UK Legacy Garden. The garden is designed around cancer diagnosis, people with cancer, people who have suffered loss from cancer. And for me, that means it is a space that you come to try and make sense of those diagnoses, how you internalize that, how you try to come to terms with it, and that is a deep trauma, and it would be inappropriate for the garden to demand your attention at that moment.
I asked Paul to elaborate a little bit more on the concept of this garden.
This garden is really designed as a reflective space, so quite often gardens are quite dominant. Our relationship with them is dominant, so they demand something of us, they demand us to engage with them. It could be through the choice of colour, choice of material, the way you position seating. You become more of the passive element in that relationship, so you're thinking about the space you're in. Whereas this garden, what I've tried to create is a space where it demands nothing from you, which allows you to have a conversation with yourself. It's a more internal conversation.
Now that I understood the concept of the garden, I really wanted to find out how Paul created the design for this garden and where the ideas came from.
I definitely think in designing the garden I drew on personal experience of my partner dying from cancer, very definitely, and how I did and didn't deal with that, how those situations make you feel, and then also speaking to other people, a mixture, people who had been diagnosed and then survived cancer, were in remission, other people who weren't that lucky, and just there are kind of pinch points in those journeys which I wanted to draw attention to, really so that other people at the start of that journey could, if they were here at the show, would identify with that and understand. And for me, this is a really difficult subject. It's a subject that draws a lot of emotional turmoil. There's no easy way out of it. What I really wanted to talk about was the fact that yes, that moment is horrendous. You would do anything to be in a different situation, but time really doesn't stop, even if you wanted it to. And it's how you can come through that and how you can still see the beauty in life. And when we don't have those family members, those friends with us anymore, how we can keep the energy that was good about them in our everyday life.
I asked Paul whether a space like this would have helped him as he was navigating his way through his partner's diagnosis.
I think a space like this there is one moment in that journey that I remember, and I have spoken to other people about it, and it's around, so if you're diagnosed with cancer, whether you hopefully go into remission or not, there is a dread that there's like a full stop that's coming and you can't stop it. For some people that actually is what will happen, and there's just like a rage in you that you can't really explain, and if you're the loved one, in some ways it's really difficult because you need to be there for the person that's actually going through it. It's about them, it's not about you, but at the same time, of course it affects you. It's going to completely change your life as well. And I remember when I was in that situation, there was a janitor's cupboard in a hospital, was the only place available to try and rage at the universe. And I thought a lot about this space as a space where people would come and they would be able to kind of disengage all of those emotions and just think about it a bit, and just as calmly as you can be able to not accept, because I don't think many people do really accept, but just come to terms with the things that you can't change. And I think that's what I wanted to create.
Paul really has put his heart into this garden down to the smallest detail. I asked him a little bit more about this.
With this space, it's natural. Well, it's naturalised. It's like a wild space. So it's not gardened. It's very limited in colour because lots of different colours draw make the mind do things even when we're not aware of it. So certain colours aggravate the mind, certain colours make us feel consciously more relaxed. So it's predominantly green, which is naturally very calming. There is water here, but for me the water, it really is not the sound, it's more the expanse, because it reflects the sky. That for me is more about kind of energy. The stone I've used is a metamorphic rock, and that's more a kind of subtle reference to the fact that the process, if you like, or the journey from diagnosis to however that finishes, changes and demands different things of you, and it metamorphosizes. So I wanted to use that rock. But I think the one element which is designed from those experiences and talking to other people are the benches where the wood moves, because quite often you see people at moments of trauma or dealing with trauma that they're like kind of wringing their hands because they don't quite know what to do with themselves, and there's this energy that you can't release and it's blocking every other thought process. So if you could sit on that bench and just kind of fiddle with it like a fiddlestick, then it distracts you, it unlocks those pathways, and you can kind of think more clearly.
I think we can all agree that Paul is incredibly brave for creating this garden. I wanted to know what Paul wanted to achieve by sharing his experiences through this garden.
I think there are two major things I would like this garden to achieve. One is very personal, obviously because of the nature of it. Everybody, so in 2016, the same group of people came and made a garden with me here for the Dogs Trust. And at that point, my partner was very ill, and he came to the show very, very poorly. We all saw that, and it was very tough. And then 2 weeks later, that was the full stop. So I wanted people to come here to be able to come to this show and not have that memory, to have a different memory, because I just think that was really important for everybody involved. And then the other thing which is really important to me, there are lots of cancers that don't get enough research because there isn't enough funding. So if people walk through this space and they kind of identify with it, or they at least think about it, and they basically give financial support to Cancer Research UK, then those cancers that get missed because they're not in the predominant news would have more funding, and we would be working towards people not going through these situations.
This is a garden that is so personal to Paul, so I wondered what was going to happen to the garden after the show.
After the show, the garden kind of gets disbanded, really. For me, it was really important. It lives here like this in one moment. It doesn't need to exist anywhere else. And different elements will go to different places. So the carved rocks will all go to a doctor's surgery in Manchester. The pavilion will be rebuilt in Edinburgh at the Royal Caledonian Horticultural Society. The benches will go to a cancer research facility, and so I think it's better that those elements kind of have their own independent lives after being here. It lives on, but not as a set piece.
At the time, I didn't understand Paul's choice, but on my way home I thought about this conversation over and over again, and it finally clicked and I understood exactly where Paul was coming from. Not only is Paul a multi-award-winning garden designer, he's also a senior-level RHS judge. And yet he still finds time to mentor lots of up-and-coming designers, when most wouldn't.
Well, there are two reasons I think this is important, like opportunities for other people. One, truly creative people cannot be intimidated or jealous of other people, because you can't share the same idea, but you can facilitate somebody else to improve the idea they are having. And for me, that's really important. The second thing, I look through my own career, which is like a dog-led journey, and I see points where somebody wiser pushed me in the right direction or saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. So without them, I wouldn't be here. So if I have the opportunity to be able to share what I know, how useful or not it is, then I'm going to do that, because I think that that's the right thing to do. Not because I want people to thank me, but just because I think that if you can do that, why wouldn't you do it?
Thank you very much. Well, thank you for your time today. It's been a pleasure, and congratulations on your goal.
Thank you.
I hope that you have enjoyed this one-on-one interview with me here with Paul. And I hope that it's kind of given you a little bit of food for thought. Sometimes when you go to a flower show, you'll see a garden and it may look really, really pretty, but sometimes it's really, really great to make sure that you head in and speak to the designers just to find out a little bit more behind the concepts, because you may be surprised. Anyway, I hope that you've enjoyed this, and hopefully I will see you all again very, very soon. Bye!